serve me.
Welcome everyone once again to Bourbon Over Headlines, where your headlines are served neat. Today we're going to Arkansas. We're going to a town called Evening Shade. Yes, it's actually called Evening Shade. Okay. Now there's a couple different explanations why it's called Evening Shade. We'll get there in a minute. But first things first, I love these type of towns. These things are super. This town has 400 people in it. As of right now, the current population is 433. I love the super small towns for this because it comes that you get the most interesting stuff to read about in the papers because they got to fill everything. So you'll find out in a minute what I'm talking about. Also, if this town sounds familiar to anyone out there, this was the setting of the 1990s sitcom from I think 1990 to 1994, the sitcom Evening Shade. The exterior shots were Evening Shade. So all the exterior shots that you saw were shot from Evening Shade. It was the setting of the actual town. Now, of course, they filmed a lot of the stuff on sound stages, like the houses and stuff, but the exterior settings were Evening Shade. That starred Burt Reynolds. So I guess if we wanted to say someone famous, there's really no one famous from Evening Shade. So I guess the most famous person has ever been to Evening Shade, because he did go to Evening Shade. He spoke he was the commencement speaker at the high school graduation in 1991. Could you imagine Burt Reynolds going, I'm a big Hollywood star, I'm going to a school that has maybe 100, has maybe 50 kids in it, 60 kids. I gotta speak of this. I guess he probably did it because the show was running on, and that was probably like, you know what, just go ahead and do it. But he might be the biggest name that's associated with the town of Evening Shade, and he didn't even live there. Just his character did. Just some history real quick. It was originally known as Hook Rum. Okay. It was incorporated in 1970, April 26, 1970. It is 1.67 square miles. Now, why was it called Hook Rum? Well, originally, here's how the story goes. This is the supposed story. A group of local men took advantage of an inebriated man, a drunk man, and when this inebriated man woke up sober, he supposedly said, they gave me some rum and hooked my money. That's about the most southern thing I can ever say. That's a pretty southern saying from the 1870s. They hooked my money. They didn't steal it, they hooked it. They hooked my money. Maybe I should start saying that when someone like robs me or something. Like, they hooked my money. So it's in Sharp County. It was originally in Lawrence County, but it went into Sharp County, and here's why. Ephraim, E-P-H-R-A-I-M, Sharp, which is the county namesake, was a Civil War veteran. Now I'm going to give you 3 seconds, maybe more, while I take a sip here. This is Arkansas in the 1860s. Which side of the Civil War do you think he was on? If you said the Union, you're correct. That's right. A boy from Arkansas supported the Union. Now, there was a skirmish here. There's a battle nearby. The North won, so it became a Union outpost. So, yes. Also, it supposedly became Evening Shade later on after it was incorporated because a set of pine trees cast some shade upon an adjacent hill. And I guess someone important supposedly said, oh look, it's an Evening Shade. I don't know. There's not a tied down thing of why it's called Evening Shade and it went from Hook Rum. I like Hook Rum much better as a thing, but Hook Rum wouldn't have probably been a TV series. Yeah, we're not naming a TV series Hook Rum. Its population in the 1920s, which where all these stories are from. I love 1920 stories, the way they write, the way they do things. Don't worry, I'll get to the 30s in a couple when I get to some bigger cities. Was roughly 300 people. The current count today is between 430 and about 440. Every census 10 years. The last census had it like at 420-ish, and they're predicting now it's 433, 435, somewhere in that range. So we'll see what goes on population-wise in 4 years when they do another census. So to the stories, to the headlines we're here for. So first headline, blindfolded man drives car in Little Rock. So again, we're in Arkansas. This is Little Rock, biggest city, capital Little Rock. Hayward, there's a name. Hayward's his first name, not his last name, first name. Hayward Thompson, a war veteran, so probably a World War I veteran. This is a story from 1923. Performed a remarkable feat in Little Rock one day last week when he drove a Buick automobile through the streets of the city while, wait for it, blindfolded. They didn't say if he got wrecked or anything, just said he was able to drive the city streets while blindfolded. Oh, there are people who can't drive today with cell phones in their hands, much less trying to figure out how they do blindfolded. Much less trying them to do blindfolded. I apologize if you see the computer in the screen here. My amazing, lovely wife, who also has a YouTube channel called Moondog Tarot. So if you or anyone you know likes tarot and stuff like that, go to her channel. It's on YouTube. It's also Instagram and TikTok. All of them Moondog Tarot. She was cleaning house. Okay, I had a pack of all the headlines I've used for previous shows, or most of them, and in there folded up was this week's. That's how I knew it was this week's. I had them folded. She accidentally tossed them all the way in the garbage can. It happens. It's an accident. So I'm using the computer where I had them stored. So if you see me looking over, that's why. It's on the computer. So I apologize for that. It's not normally how I run the operation here, as you guys know. But you do what you have to do to get the job done, right? Exactly. So this is remarkable today. I'm not sure anyone could do that today. But as I said, people can barely drive without their phones, much less looking at their phones. We've had to pass laws. Imagine, is there a law in the book saying you can't drive blindfolded? Someone should test that. Not saying it's legal. I'm not saying it's illegal. Not saying you should test it. It's probably illegal. But if there's not a law in the books saying you can drive blindfolded, technically, you could. Just don't get in a wreck. Okay? The next story is that we have a shootout, ladies and gentlemen. But not just any shootout. When you think of a shootout, you think of criminals. Or maybe the law versus the criminals. No. Today we have a shootout between two cops. Okay? We have Tony Gay, a deputy sheriff, and Bonnie McCourtney. Now, guys named Bonnie. A bunch of guys named Bonnie. There's some names now. It's IE, like Jimmy, whatever. But back then, more guys had women's names. What we would consider female names in the lexicon today. There was a lot more back here. Bonnie, Jessica, Jesse. All those could have been male or female. Constable of Thayer, which is nearby, engaged in a pistol battle on the street in town on Friday. So this is a couple days ago in this article. McCourtney was not hurt, but his antagonist was killed. So McCourtney killed Gay. Courtney killed Tony Gay. The deputy sheriff lost. The local constable won. That's what we have today. Is we have a shootout between two cops, a sheriff and a constable, and the constable won. I can see them walking up at high noon. Going, who's going to draw first? Probably didn't happen in 1927. Probably they just got in an argument, pulled guns out, and started shooting. Doesn't say how many things were killed. Doesn't say anything like that. So next one. Okay. So there's this. I don't know if you guys ever heard about this, but I don't know if it's a trope. I don't know if it's an urban legend. Or I don't know what it is, but the purple. It's like, well, let's just go fishing. We'll use some dynamite to catch a bunch of fish. They'll all come up to the. We'll drop some dynamite in. Well, it actually happened. Hundreds of fish were killed in the lake, in Lee Lake near Swifton, by an explosion supposed to be dynamite. Now, whether it was done on purpose or not, we don't know. But someone, I think, went fishing with dynamite. I figure we're gonna get a bunch of fish. If I blow them up, they're gonna be dead. They're not squiggly when I catch them. I wonder what type of fish. It doesn't say. It just says this. These are all small, little, tiny ones. Because again, this is a paper from Evening Shade, Arkansas, in the 1920s, which had 300 people. So, how big of an article Unless you want me to talk about what's going on in Washington D.C. in the 1920s, which I can find in any paper. All right. I couldn't find anything else about this. I looked for about an hour trying to find something else about this. This is an interesting story to me, but I can't find anything about it. It's just quick little article. Captain Charles Woods is preparing to sail across the Pacific Ocean in a yacht built of material salvaged from wrecks to be made only by him. So he's basically taking a bunch of wrecks, bunch of wood, bunch of materials from salvaged wrecks, build himself a yacht or build himself a boat, and sail solo across the Pacific Ocean. Now, this guy in 1927 did this. The professor from Gilligan's Island couldn't fix the damn boat with everything on it. Now, supposedly, in Gilligan's Island, he tried to fix the boat and he realized it couldn't be fixed. It was too damaged to be fixed. So that's what they say. But maybe you should have talked to this guy. He might have still been alive when Gilligan's Island was out. Maybe they should have consulted this guy. Just a couple more stories. But while we're at it, I have a TikTok now where I do a headline of the day. So again, I pick a random headline from anywhere in the country, anywhere. Just read a headline, say a little bit about it, and then go from there. It's becoming super popular. So if you like short content instead of this full-length content, see me on TikTok. That is Bourbon Over Headlines. Also, if you are in a position when you listen to your podcast or your stuff you listen to weekly places and you can't do it on video, I'm also on Spotify, also Bourbon Over Headlines. So, 2 more short, quick stories. Of course, these are all short, quick. Treasure of the penitentiary. That's right, we have a politician in jail. I will say this. Doing this and doing research, I haven't picked all of them, but I've done a lot of research. They were more likely to put a lot of politicians in jail back then than they are now. They were going to be like, you did something, we're going to charge you and put you damn in jail. Ray Harris, the treasurer of, I guess this is Fulton County. I couldn't read. These papers are horrible to read. Pleaded guilty to the charge of embezzlement in circuit court at Salem this week. Sentenced to the penitentiary for 10 years. 10 years. I want you to guess how much he stole. How much he embezzled to get 10 years in jail. Now remember, this is the 1920s, so it's not going to be millions of dollars, but guess how much he stole to get 10 years? $22,000. It said that he made many trips to Oklahoma oil fields and that where he lost. So he was a land speculator in Oklahoma. He tried to buy some land leases, try to get some oil. They went bust. And he lost all his money. Maybe he should have talked to Billy Bob Thornton from Landman. Maybe he would have done that. And the last story of the day, this is a great one. We have a story of a good boy. We have a story of a dog saving the day. Gotta love our dogs. My dogs died relatively recently. House is not the same. If you ever lost a pet, you know that it's just a void. But with that being said, this is a story about a dog saving the day. Sparking an alarm by her continuous barking. So it's a female dog. Good girl. Good girl. By her continuous barkings. The small house dog, and this is from New Jersey. No, this is just a random. Saved the lives of 7 people. She saved the entire family. Living in a burning building. Good girl. Let's take a drink to the good girl. This doesn't give her name, but let's take a drink to the good girl. Saving everybody's life. Hopefully she got to play with a lot of toys and got a lot of bones and got a lot of good girl pets. Hopefully that's what happened. Because if she didn't, then most people are mean. She saved your life. She gets everything for the rest of her life. She is spoiled for the rest of her life as a dog. She gets the best doggy bed. She gets the best toys, the best treats. She just saved everybody from a burning house, burning building. She gets the best of everything. She is spoiled. Everyone feeds her. She walks. Everyone pats her on the head, says, good girl, good girl. So that's all I have for you today. So until next time, be neat, my friends.